Geeks Tribunal, eternal, forever.
Don't you wish you
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Cool Geeks Tribunal back in full effect. Cups all the way up. Yeah, so Wakanda, I know y'all saw it. I know everybody caught up with it by now. So just wondering, what do y'all feel on it? My thoughts. I feel like in Wakanda, did it truly represent the African people? The people indigenous and aboriginal to that continent? Did it really speak to who they are? Where else have we seen pop culture give a fictional take on the continent? Who represented Zamunda, Coming to America? Shout out Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall for the 1988 classic.
Excuse me for a moment. It would be wise for you to put the weapon down.
Who the fuck is this asshole?
Please refrain from using any further obscenities in the presence of these people.
What?
I've warned you. I'll be forced to thrash you.
Fuck you.
Freeze, you diseased rhinoceros pizzle.
If I'm to compare fictional places that represent the continent, I want to use that as a gauge. But first and foremost, let me say that they definitely did a very, very cool send-off to Chadwick Boseman. It was heartfelt. They definitely, showed love to him, for what he brought to the character and everything. What can I say? It looks good. Aesthetically very pleasing to the eye. The costumes are great. The acting phenomenal. When you look at Angela Bassett, what she brought to the character, Letitia Wright, what she brought to the character, Shuri, the Queen, all of it, they did really, really good jobs in regards to that. It's you're going to enjoy it. You're definitely going to enjoy it. Each popcorn, get right with that. It's good. My thing is, did they represent, on point? Because there was things in there that to me just didn't really add up, don't really make sense, right? Like Africa historically, for all of the different tribes that have made up that entire continent, where, now there's, 54 countries that make it up, with different dialects. It's for the most part, it's a patriarchal society. It's a patriarchal place. They don't accept everything. They're not down with everything that is known of and accepted in the West. So when I'm looking at this movie and they run around colonizer this, colonizer that, you calling everybody that's white a colonizer, I'm like, all right, we understand that historically, yes, they have definitely, the colonization has been real. And, there are countries that have come in and taken from this massive land, and whether taking people, taking language, forcing language on people, taking gold, taking diamonds, taking oil, taking ivory, taking everything, right? Several countries just in there, just got their hands all in a place and just taking and leaving nothing for the people that are there. What is Marvel and Disney doing in there if you're going to bring ideals from the West to a real continent, but make a fictional place that is supposedly by their own on their own volition, because they're strong enough to be not colonized and strong enough to have their own resources, the vibranium never be taken. Well, for the most part, never be taken, especially in comparison to what happens in the surrounding lands.
We get the point, T'Chaka. I've never met a socialist with a crown on his head before, but I guess there is a first time for everything.
Who gave you permission to use my first name?
I am sorry. I did not mean to offend.
I understand your frustration in dealing with a black man who can't be bought with a truck full of guns, a plane full of blondes, and a Swiss bank account. But please, hold on to what little class you have.
Your Majesty, I truly apologize.
This meeting is over.
Why do they have such a westernized acceptance of certain ideals that would not really fly over here? So are you really trying to represent the people, or are you trying to put out images where the people that are there are going to be shamed for if they don't accept this sort of representation and this look? Like, I mean, what are we doing? Like, that's not them. Whether you agree with it, you understand it, you like it, you love it, you hate it, whatever you feel about it, they are who they are. So, you know, do they have to have a liberal, left-sided, you know, approach to their lives, or is it good enough for them to just be who they are? Because if you look at a movie like Shang-Chi, there's things that would definitely I could point out, because like Marvel has been doing this where it seems like there's like an attack on guys, right? There's an attack on men where the men are made to feel like they have to be buffoons, i.e. Loki. You know, at one point he was very menacing. And then by the time you get to his TV show, the female counterpart of him is the one that's serious and got her head on straight. When you look at Shang-Chi, his sister couldn't train with the guys. They had their rules. That's their customs. How is it she's just as good a fighter or better than Shang-Chi if she wasn't properly trained? She had to learn herself. You know, when you look at, you know, what's going on in Wakanda, like M'Baku, he was pretty much relegated to being the court jester in the Wakandan kingdom, where as compared to what we saw in the very first movie, where he really put the beats on Chadwick Boseman and almost took the Wakandan mantle. There was no challenge for her. She just got it. You know, M'Baku tried to step up and hit Namor, you know, with a stick and a blown quarter of guard, like it did nothing. He got his chest caved in, and it was a wrap for him. The men that follow M'Baku, like they were falling back, while the women are hopping off and fighting all of these sea creatures that like have these superpowers. While they're very well trained, they are still people. So like these women that are well trained are fighting men out of the sea that are well trained, and they're giving them the business. It just don't really add up, right? So when I'm looking at the realistically what Wakanda is and what Africa has always been, and I look at how other cultures are represented, well, because China's not having it. Like, they will shut you down. They will not play your movie if they feel disrespected, if they don't agree with the ideals in it. So when you look at nations like Uganda, Kenya, I'm assuming Nigeria, and Ghana, and places like that don't rock with certain things, why take it to the point of you put the brother with the plate in his lip to represent, but then at the same time, while everybody's running around talking about colonizers in chains, and you never thought you would see that, but while they may, for the purposes of the movie and the script, have physical chains on, you seem to have westernized chains on because you were, as a Wakanda nation, secluded and able to do so and be the most powerful nation on the earth by being that way because you had the vibranium. What is your identity? Why are you acting like Wakanda's on 42nd Street? Why are you acting like Wakanda is in Times Square? Or the Village? Like, why are they not able to just do their own thing? So what I'm wondering is this truly progressive? Is it forward thinking? Is it, or are you patronizing the people and kind of trying to shame them for not historically not being as open to certain ideas and ideals and lifestyles and things like that? They just don't. Like, if they not with it, they not with it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. You know, kind of reminds me of when Obama went on, he was talking to the Kenyan president and trying to convince him of certain ideas and ideals about life and lifestyle that they plainly, repeatedly try to let him know, we don't like it. It's just not us.
It's very difficult for us to be able to impose on people that which they themselves do not accept. This is why I repeatedly say that for Kenyans today, the issue of gay rights is really a non-issue. We want to focus on other areas that are day-to-day living for our people.
If you look at the history of countries around the world, when you start treating people differently, not because of any harm they're doing anybody, but because they're different, that's the path whereby freedoms begin to erode.
So you want to shame them, you want to beat them up, you want to bomb them. You want to take whatever diamonds, gold, whatever you can find. I mean, what do you want to do if they don't like it? You know, the same way people on the left with many liberal ideas have felt like, well, they need to speak up for themselves for certain things, so they're not shamed for it. But then the very next turn, you're going to turn into another group of people and shame them for the way that they live and the ideals that they hold to and their core values. That's what they believe in. That's how they move. You know, to me, sometimes you just gotta respect it, you know. And there were things that were in the movie that just didn't make sense to me. And you know, is it really, you know, which showing the women at the forefront fighting for everything with the physical matchups, is that truly empowering to women?
Since when black women become the figurehead of the feminist ideology? This overtly masculine portrayal of black women in mainstream movies is just not it for me. It's just not it. This idea that black women are so strong and independent that they don't need anybody, they don't need a man, is only perpetuating the same stigmas of broken homes and single parent households that we see today. And I believe that almost everything you see is meant to influence you on some type of subconscious level. But how about instead of all these fantasy movies and fictions and Greek mythology movies coming to life, how about we see something that's actually going to benefit people who are watching it? How about we see healthy dynamics of male-female relationships? How about we see balance?
You know, how many women are really in real situations just going to go out there? Yes, we know they're female police officers, and yes, we know that they're female soldiers, but 9 times out of 10 in most situations, it's the guys. So what is this trend where men are made to look weak? Or is it that they feel like in order to make the women tall, the men have to be short? You know, either it genuinely works for everybody and no one has to get the short end of the stick. If we're truly equal, then be equal, you know. WNBA needs to turn a profit if, you know, things are equal to the NBA. And it's not just about how long it's been around. It's the fact that if women are doing a thing that is generally perceived as more masculine, people are going to want to see the males do the masculine thing and be more satisfied with that product versus the females that are saying, well, we can do it too. And people are not really buying it. The war with Russia, Ukraine, many times they were on trains and stuff trying to get out of the Ukraine. From videos that I saw, like, it was women and children first. Even elderly men were staying back to fight. That's what was reported, even if they weren't actually in the military. So are we at a time where it's no longer women and children first? When you look at Scarface, no women, no kids. If you go into war with another drug cartel, whatever it is, there was always like an honor in regards to that. Is that no longer welcome? Is it no longer needed? Is it no longer what people in society want anymore? So everything's up for grabs. And if we are going to do it, we're going to start with, so-called black characters. Look at the Eternals. Definitely made sure there was an Eternal that was very melanated and that brother was effeminate. You know what I'm saying? You look at all of these different situations. And again, this ain't about hating nobody. It's just a fact of what are we doing? What's the point of it? Be genuine to it, be real to it. If that's what the character calls for, it's what the character calls for. If not, if the people aren't that, then truly represent the people, really be about the people. Or it's just totally disingenuous, So I just look at, again, Zamunda to Wakanda. And Zamunda, he had to go away from the continent to find a bride or anybody that had westernized mentality. Now the westernized mentality has been brought to Wakanda. So the chains still remain. Just my thoughts. Just want to know what y'all got from it. If I have to rate it, just looking at the movie as a whole, it's not that you won't enjoy it. It's just that there are certain things that are kind of eyebrow raising that I thought deserve to be questioned. So out of 5 cups, I'm giving Wakanda Forever 3.5 cups up. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. If you like us, subscribe for the vibe. Let's chop it up on it. So respect, so love. Salute. Peace.
Within us all live a Superman. Within our souls to survive. Don't you wish you were a Superman? Or don't you wish you were a Superman?